It's 9 p.m. Monday night. While the rest of the world slows down, you're tuning in to the Final Boss podcast. This is Motivation Mondays, where mindsets shift, hustle gets honored, and the 6 pillars of success get broken all the way down. We're talking motivation, resilience, sacrifice, consistency, persistence, and perseverance. Hosted by the one and only Turbo, the CEO, bringing real talk, raw stories, and relentless energy to spark your week with purpose. So lock in, take notes, and remember, success ain't just a dream, it's a discipline.
Welcome to the Final Boss podcast. Listen, it is a Motivation Monday, and I was just giving my man Dollar Bill a shout out, man. I think he, I don't know if I knew you guys did. I didn't have the sound on. Hold on. He's back, and it's Motivation Monday. Woohoo! Hey, listen. Good evening, everyone. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Audio. We in the building. Listen. Hey, shout out to the always analytical Andrea. Thank you for joining us. The Chikandi, the world-renowned speaker of all knowledge and spirituality. She's in the building. We got some new people in childcare leadership vote. Thank you for joining us. Miss Live, Love, and Happiness. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Dollar Bills, man. Hey, look, man, I was giving you a shout out. Listen. Mr. Dollar Bills is doing a lot of good things in the community. He's been embedded into the DMV community for some time now, man. In entertainment, and I think he's as an entrepreneur. Hey, Dollar Bill, man, if you still have your transportation company, I don't know if you do or not, man, but if you do, man, drop the links, man. Listen, as a matter of fact, if you have a business or you're doing something great in the community, drop it in the chat. Let us know so I can share it out, man. Listen, iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron, man. Iron sharpens iron. Reach one, teach one, right? Reach one, teach one. So tonight is episode number 203. 203 is the episode of the evening. And look, it is Motivation Monday, and I hope you guys are all ready to get up on that the fired up train, right? Because I'm already hot. I'm burning up, man. And look, that's why I got on look, I got on a white tee, right? I'm being totally disrespectful right now to the podcast, but I'm burning up, man. I got the windows open, I got the door open. It's 1,000 degrees in here right now, and I think it's just because I'm just super amped up, right? I'm super amped up because it's Motivation Monday. It's the first Motivation Monday of season 4. Now, listen, what time? How much? I've been rambling for about 5 minutes. So, because of the success of the last campaign, the book promotion campaign, if you was able to take a part of the Spring Rebirth book campaign, thank you for doing that. We became a bestseller, right? A bestseller across multiple genres, and that is something to be proud of, man. So I'm gonna continue the campaign, but I'm extending it not from the digital copy. We're going to the paperback, right? We're going to the paperback. So now you'll be able to grab the paperback. Is usually around between $16 and $20, $16.99 and $20. Now you can go pick up the paperback for about $9.99, right? Go pick up the paperback, right? To Go Time, all aboard the Fired Up Train. We're going to continue the Spring Rebirth book promotion campaign, and we're extending it to the paperback. And then we might extend it to, you got it, the hardbacks, man. We might extend it to the hardback. So be on the lookout for that. But starting tomorrow morning, I think we're going to run it for about 24 hours. Oh, thank you. Yes, #1 bestseller. Woohoo! Yes. Thank you. The community answers, man. The community answers to my smarts, to my warriors, to my motivators, to my final bosses. Thank you. I would not have been able to do it without you, right? We're in this community together. We're doing this. We're on this journey together. This is a community builder, man. That's what we're doing. And it's the Final Boss Nation, Final Boss community, Final Boss family. Thank you to each and every last single one of you. We did it, man. #1 bestseller. And look, because of that, we're extending the Rebirth book campaign, and we're going to do the paperbacks, and we might even do the hardbacks, man. But you never know, man. You never know, right? Depending on the success, man. That is depending on Trust the Process system. Shout out to Melissa. Shout out to my man Frank Zakari over at Trust the Process, man. They got it done. The marketing was crazy, right? The marketing was crazy, so we was able to accomplish that. But look, let's get into tonight's show, man. But before I do that, I didn't give you guys the disrespectful, man, the level of disrespect to each and every single one of you, wherever you are, and wherever you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Spotify. Thank you for joining us, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is the greeting of the day. And we get ready to get into our episode, man. Episode number 203. I was about to say 223. 203, man. Listen, the Fired Up Train is pulling out tonight, and this one is going to hit a little different. It's going to hit a little. Do y'all hear that? The wind is going crazy. I know they spotted some tornadoes tonight in Maryland, man, but that's a little scary. Okay. All right. I said a prayer before the show, as I always do. But look, you've been, got to tell you something, man. I have to tell you this. You know, you've been sorting people your entire life like a deck of cards, right? Like a deck of cards. Good people, bad people, heroes, villains, trustworthy, dangerous, you name it, right? All labels. And that sorting system has been costing you, right? It's been costing you. Hold on. Hold that thought, right? It's costing you alliances. It's costing you opportunities. It's costing you money and time you never will get back. And tonight on Motivation Monday, episode number 203, we are tearing down one of those most dangerous lies that you've ever been handed, man. This is the rebirth, right? This is season 4, the rebirth. This is where we become. So we're going to be tackling a lot of different topics, man, but we're going to be looking at from the aspect of a rebirth, right? So here's the truth that nobody has been willing to tell you. The person who betrayed you was not a bad person. The person, I say again, the person who betrayed you was not a bad person. The person who showed up when nobody expected them to was not a good person. They were both responding to the same thing. And that one thing is called the opportunity. The opportunity. That's what they were responding to. And once you understand that at an operational level, everything changes. How you build, how you trust, how you protect what you're putting together, how you choose who gets access to you, your vision, and everything that you're doing, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about, man. And this is season 4, the rebirth, right? And tonight I am handing the Final Boss community the complete upgrade, right? We're going to go through the frameworks of opportunity, the frameworks of the alignment, because we got to audit, right? We're going to be talking about the trust equation. We're going to be talking about how, man, listen. Season 4, rebirth, the declaration, right? That's what it's about. This is not motivation for motivation's sake. This is a full operation system upgrade for how you read people, build alliances, and protect your mission going into the rest of the season, right? You need to be building. You got 100 episodes to get it in. 100 episodes. That's enough time to make changes and get to the next level, right? Get to the next level, man. Season 4, the rebirth, is not just personal, it's perceptual. And tonight, we're going to fix that lens, man. So, right, you understand? I just spoke to you guys earlier. You need to go grab your copy of Go Time All Aboard the Fired Up Train. Go grab it, right? Go grab it. It's a bestseller now. Go grab it, right? And it's on sale if you get the paperback for $9.99, right? All books are sold, but get it from Amazon, right? The links will come. I'll drop the links very soon. So to my community, hey man, listen, I need y'all to drop a fire emoji, right? Drop a fire emoji if you're pulling up live right now, man, and you still with us, man. Drop a fire emoji, right? And then drop the 100 emoji if this is already hitting you before the episode even drops, because I haven't even gotten into it yet, right? I need you to tap somebody who needs to hear this message tonight. Go tap 3 of your friends, three family members, right? Don't gatekeep. Go tap those people, man. Their network depends on it. Your network depends on it. And if they're in your network, it all comes together and is very, very important, because this season depends on it, right? The Fired Up train is leaving the station. Get on board or get left behind. Yes. So I hope everybody has been having a great start to the week. And you're ready to get aboard that Fired Up train, right? And listen, we are man, what can I say? Man, 203, right? 203. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable, right? So for those who are just now joining us, welcome, right? For those who are you've been here since day one, thank you. As you know, this is Motivation Monday, right? And we're locked in and we're live, right? And it's 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we're always here at Monday nights live at 9 p.m., right? So I'm about to blow up the whole scene. I'm gonna blow the roof off of this biatch. Right? Because we're going to be discussing one of the most dangerous lies you've been carrying around since you were old enough to talk, right? Since you were old enough to talk. And I'm not telling you, man, we've been lied to, but this one in particular, this is going to hit home, right? This is going to hit home, because I need you to buckle up your seatbelts, right? Because we're going somewhere your comfort zone has never been willing to take, right? And you're like, man, wait a minute. We got season 1, season 2, season 3. Listen, it always hits different. It always hits different, right? So, I was talking about how you've been sorting people since basically you came out the womb, right? And that sorting system has cost you, right? And I told you how it's cost you alliances and opportunities and things of that nature, right? But guess what? That sorting system, it's wrong. I'm telling you right now, that sorting system and how you've been doing things is wrong. There's no such thing as a good or bad person. I'm gonna say it again. There's no such thing as a good or bad person, right? There's only the opportunity, right? Only the opportunity, right? And what somebody does when it shows up, right? The fired up train is ready to go. Are you on the fired up train? Because we're about to pull out, right? Pause. But before we go all the way in tonight, right? Let me give you the brass tacks, right? Let me give you the brass tacks for the evening. And here it is. Hey, that wind is real scary, man. Hey, somebody drop the weather report right now in the chat, because this ain't Kansas, but if a tornado comes this way, I'm definitely going to be looking for Dorothy, right? But look, here's the brass tacks of the evening. There are no villains in real life. Only people who saw a door open and walked through it. The question was never who they were. The question is, what were you willing to do when the same door opened for you, right? That is the statement. That is the thesis, right? That is the engine of tonight's conversation. That is what is going to be driving the train of this episode, right? Now, let me explain why this matters why it matters so much for season 4, the rebirth specifically, right? Because the rebirth is about rebuilding, right? You're rebuilding your network, your business, your circle, your trust. And if you rebuild all those things while still running the same broken people, reading the same broken software that contributed to what needed to be reborn in the first place, you're not in a rebirth, right? You are in a redo. You're in a redo. Same season, different costumes, right? Same outcomes. But tonight, man, we're going to upgrade your motivation. We're going to upgrade your operating system for understanding how human beings really are, right? And that is a different kind of work, right? And that's what season 4 is all about. Because if you and listen, if you're in you're in the chat right now, and you in that brass tacks, it hits you, give us a fist emoji, man. Give us a fist emoji, right? Because let me tell you, good or bad, right? It's only the opportunity. Only the opportunity, right? So, thank you, Scotty, for that, right? So here's I appreciate you. Here's where the myth started. And I want you to go all the way back. And I want you to go all the way back with me, because this is important, right? Let's go back to kindergarten, right? Maybe even before that. Because some adult in your life needed you to sit still, need you to be quiet, go in the corner, right? Share your juice box, right? Stop hitting the kid next to you, and generally cooperate with the system that was designed for classroom management. Go stand in the corner, go line up, right? And to give a 5-year-old to cooperate with that system. They invented the cleanest behavior tool ever built, right? Good kids got rewarded, bad kids got consequences, right? Binary system, right? Simple, 1, 2, binary, right? It was clean. It was brutally effective on a child. But here's the problem, right? That tool was engineered for a child. It was never designed to be a framework for reading adult human beings in professional relationships, right? Business partnerships, friendships, high stakes alliances, you name it. But here you are. Here you are right now, right? You're grown. You've grown, good and grown, with responsibilities, with children, and you got a mission. And you're dealing with real money. You're dealing with real time. And you're dealing with a real timeline, right? and you're still running kindergarten software on the most complex decision you make every single day, which is who to trust with access to your life and your vision, right? Good person, bad person, right? Binary, right? That is the whole filter for most adults. It's the whole filter system, right? That is the filter system, and it's wrong, right? Because you see people and you say, does this person seem like a good person? Does this energy feel right? Do people speak well of them, right? That's what you be asking yourself. Did this person know this person? You know, how is this person, right? Some of you guys are in relationships that you got into because of the word of mouth of somebody else, right? And then when the behavior does not match the category, when your so-called good person does something that a good person is not supposed to do, the shock hits like a truck, right? The shock hits like a truck. The hurt hits hard, and the self-questioning starts. How did I not see that coming, right? I trusted that person completely. That person was the last person I ever expected that from, right? Because your trust was built on a story you told yourself. You told yourself that, right? You listen. You told yourself and buried those thoughts about that person in your own head, right? About that character. Not on any real analysis of their incentives or past dealings, their pressures, what they needed, or what it would cost them to choose you over themselves when those two things came into direct conflict, right? And when the pressure arrived and the calculation ran, the math said the cost of choosing you was too high, so they did not choose you. And the math, as the youngins say, the math ain't mathing, right? But listen, that's not evil. That is calculation, right? To my smarts in the building, to my smarts, listen, to my smarts who are in here, right? I know you feel this. You have been in the room where the smartest person on paper made the dumbest move in practice, because smart has nothing to do with alignment. Credentials have nothing to do with incentives. And to my final bosses, you know this on a business level. You have had a partner who seemed solid right up until the moment their interests diverged from yours, and then solid disappeared overnight. And to my motivators, you have watched people you inspired turn around and use what you poured into them to compete against you. And listen, that right there is different, right? Listen, use it against you. Not because they were secretly evil, right? Because the opportunity appeared and it was bigger than the loyalty. Right? And to my warriors, you know this in your bones. You have seen decorated individuals fold under fire and quiet individuals become unbreakable. The title did not decide, the moment decided, right? The opportunity, right? And here's the core truth of this segment. And I need everybody in the live chat to receive this, right? The most dangerous people in your life are almost never the ones who look dangerous. They are the ones who project warmth and trustworthiness while operating on a completely different set of incentives than the ones they showed you, right? The projection keeps you comfortable. Comfortable means unguarded. Unguarded means exposed. See this, people? You see the people clearly, not darkly, but clearly. See them for who they are, right? That's why a lot of y'all get caught up in that salesman, that sales pitch, man. Y'all driving around with salesmen, right? And 6 months later, it's about the opportunity, right? It's about the opportunity. Now I'm going to flip it on you, right? I'm gonna flip that on you, right? Because there's always two sides of the coin, right? So because the myth runs in both directions. And I need the community to sit with both sides before we move forward. We're analytical thinkers. We're critical thinkers here. This is what we do, right? You wrote somebody off. Yeah, you. You wrote somebody off. Probably shouldn't have, but you did, right? Maybe they had a reputation that got to you before they did. Maybe their lifestyle did not line up with your values. Maybe they moved differently. Maybe somebody who had their own agenda introduced them to you with a negative framework, right? And that frame stuck. Maybe they made one mistake and you stamped them out permanently, right? And you dismissed them, wrote them off, filed them under no go. Time to move on. I'm out, right? Now, listen, that person, the one you labeled bad news, is somewhere right now building something that you cannot ignore, right? Getting results you cannot explain with the framework you use to write them off. Building an empire while you are still explaining to people why you do not mess with their type, right? I want you to sit with that discomfort for a second, because that is not an abstract thought experiment. That is real. You have done this. I know you have. Don't lie to yourself. Let's be honest here. Let's be authentic. You've done it, right? Full transparency. You done it. And you know what? You might have not have done it. You may have only done it once, but you've done it, right? Most people have, right? Look around you, right? Most people have. And think about this. How many opportunities did you walk past because they came packaged in a person your system flagged, right? How many alliances did you kill in the idea stage because the person did not look like your idea of a solid individual? How many resources, connections, and open doors did you leave on the table because the label said do not touch, right? It was glaring. Big tape label sign across their forehead, do not touch, right? To our smarts, you're supposed to be the analytical ones. But analysis built on flawed premise produces flawed conclusions. Not, and that goes no matter how sophisticated the analysis is, right? If the data entry is wrong, the output is wrong. Garbage in, garbage out. The premise that someone is fundamentally bad is garbage data, right? And every decision downstream of that garbage data is compromised. And to my warriors in this field, you know what happens when you fight with bad intelligence, right? You know what happens. You make the right moves based on wrong information and you end up in the wrong position. Writing off an ally as an enemy because of bad intel is not a missed opportunity. It is a strategic catastrophe. And we've seen that recently. It's all over the news, right? And to my final bosses, the empire builders in this room who have to hear this the loudest, right? The people who get dismissed earliest in the game are almost always the most dangerous builders in it. Not dangerous to you, dangerous to every obstacle between them and their goal. They got dismissed because they did not fit in the existing mode, right? And the people who do not fit in the existing mode are exactly the ones who build the next one, right? Listen, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is season 4. This is rebirth, right? And in the rebirth, you're rebuilding your network. You're rebuilding from the ground up. That means you have a clean slate opportunity to audit who you dismiss and whether this dismissal was based on real information on a flawed label, right? That is not weakness. That is the smartest rebuilding move you can make. Open that file, right? Open that file, open it back up on some of those people you wrote off, right? And look, take another look. Take another look, right? Take another look. Take another look with a new lens, with new eyes, right? With better frameworks, because the opportunity you have been waiting for might be attached to a person you already rejected. Man, take another look, right? That light is bright. Listen. All right, people. Here's the engine of tonight's episode, right? Here's the engine of the fired up train, right? Because if you only retain one thing from the full episode, right? I want it to be this. If people are not good or bad, then what are they? Ask yourself that. What are they, right? They are agents operating in response to opportunity, right? Every single human being alive is running a continuous calculation. Most of the time, they are not even conscious of it. It is running in the background of every interaction, every relationship, every decision, and the calculation is built on 4 inputs, right? 4 inputs. 4, right? Input number 1, what do I need right now? Not eventually, right now. What is the present pressure, right? Input number 2, what do I want long term? Where am I trying to get? What does my life look like when I win? Right? I love the word win. I love the word. I'm a winner. I'm a winner, man. You need to be a winner, right? And input number 3, what can this person, this situation, this opportunity give me relative to those things, right? To the things of the first and second, right? And then input number 4, what is the cost of moving on this? What do I risk, right? What do I give up? What do I owe if I take it, right? When the math runs in their favor, they move towards you. They show up. They are loyal. They call it brotherhood. They call it partnership. They call it relationship. They call it love. They call it all these different labels, right? They're just labels, right? And in the moment, it is all of those things because the alignment is real, people. The alignment is real, right? When the math changes, they recalculate. When their needs shift, when their long-term direction changes, when something better for their equation appears, or when the cost of staying aligned with you outweighs the benefit, they move, right? Sometimes they move away. Sometimes they move against you. And then you call it betrayal, right? You call it betrayal, right? But it was never betrayal. It was a recalculation, right? It was a recalculation. The inputs changed, the output changed with him. Now, I know some of you are sitting with that thought right there and thinking, find a boss. That's cold-blooded, man. That's cold-blooded. But listen, that sounds like you're saying everybody is just selfish and self-serving, and nobody actually cares about anything beyond themselves. But listen, that is not what I'm saying at all, right? Selfish and responsive are 2 completely different things, and this distinction matters. I'm going to say that again. Selfish and responsive are 2 completely different things, and this distinction matters, right? Pay attention. No bathroom break, no hallway pass. Stay down. Sit your ass down. Listen. I know about you. The principal told me. Sit down, right? Listen. Selfish means you only think about yourself, right? Everything is about you. Nobody else registers, right? Responsive means you act based on your situation and your costs and your opportunities. Other people factor into that calculation, sometimes heavily, sometimes they're the whole calculation, right? Here's an example. A mother who gives up sleep for 3 years and her own career ambitions and her own social life for her child is not being selfish. She is responding to the deepest and most powerful opportunity of her life, the chance to matter completely and permanently to another human being, right? The chance to shape a legacy that outlives her. That investment cost her enormously, and she makes it willingly because the return is invaluable, right? Love, meaning, and legacy, right, is the best trade she has ever seen. And let me tell you, first, you know what? Shout out to the mothers, man. Shout out to the mothers. None of us would be here. Listen. Moment of silence. None of us would be here, motherfucker, if it wasn't for the mothers. none of us will be here, right? None of us, right? Shout out to the mothers, right? And I want you to understand something. That's not dark, right? That's beautiful. And it's accurate, right? Both things are true at the same time, simultaneously, right? And to my motivators, this framework is what you need when your mentees let you down. They were not ungrateful. Their calculation shifted. Understand the shift and you can address it. So my final bosses, this is your business development framework. Stop trying to win people's character. Start aligning your offer with their incentives. And listen, man, season 4 of Rebirth. My chair's slipping. Season 4 of the Rebirth, right? Is built on accurate intelligence. Accurate intelligence, man, right? Not comfortable stories. The fired up train does not run on fiction. It don't run on fiction, right? And I want you to make something. I want you to look. I want to take you somewhere with me right now on the fired up train, right? So stay close, right? I've talked about a lot of different things on this show. I've talked about my deployments. I've talked about my career. I've talked about 9/11. I've talked about all those things, man. But you've never heard me put on a Motivation Monday before and talk about the context of the first night of Motivation Monday and when it existed and how I framed it and how I framed it correctly, right? Going through the period of discovery and marketing and all this other stuff, right? In the immediate aftermath, right? In the immediate aftermath of those thought processes, I talked about the void. I talked about the silence last night, right? And that's where things grow, right? Because something happens in the void and in the silence, right? And I want you to be able to hold on to that and capture it and feel it accurately, because there are things you're doing right now that you don't even understand, that you're in the void. You're in that space where you think nothing is happening, but that's where it's growing, right? That's where the seeds are germinating, right? And I talked about that last night, man. So you need to go see last night's episode. Go see last night's episode, right? And you know, people, right? Let me pivot, right? Let me pivot for a minute. Right? People with impressive titles and decorated records and all types of jazz and resumes and things of that nature, right? Some of those people, they are, some of those people say they're bad people. They're not bad people, right? They're not bad people because they're titles, right? They took an opportunity, right? They took an opportunity to act and appeared out in front, right? That was a calculation, right? And it ran for sometimes, man, some of those calculations run for about a split second, right? And they get promoted or something, right? You have to understand the cost of moving toward the danger of moving forward, right? A lot of people would stay in the background because of fear, right? Oh, that's too dangerous. I don't want that position. It's too much responsibility. Let me stay back in the shadows, right? But let me tell you about the people with no titles, right? Let me tell you about the people with no titles, right? These people, no titles, no rank, right? And I want you to understand this moment. Everybody, right, has a choice, right? Everybody has a choice, right? You could be a hero. You could be a villain. Or you can stand in the background and watch, right? It's all calculation. It's all about the opportunity, right? But as I say at each show, the cost of not acting is always higher than the cost of acting, right? The opportunity to matter completely is the most important moment you could take advantage of sometimes, right? Think about a crisis, right? Think about a crisis. In a crisis, when a crisis is happening, the crisis doesn't reveal the character. The crisis revealed what those different individuals or an individual could do when they seen a specific opportunity, right? And then after it, then they get a label, right? Then they get a label. And that's how generally that's how a lot of things happen, right? People don't know who you are at the core until it's time to show, right? It's all calculation, right? And look, I've carried that with me, right? I've carried that with me throughout every tour that I've ever been on, whether it's Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever mission that I've gone on. I've carried that with me, right? Because you have to understand that the most reliable predictor of how someone will behave is not their character assessment that's on paper. It is their pattern of behavior under similar pressure, right? With similar costs. Not who they say they are, not who their reputation says they are, what they have done when the moment appeared and the cost was real, right? Think about that question, right? That question right there changed how I build teams. That question right there changed how I evaluate people. That question right there changed how I make personal decisions in my everyday life, right? Not are you a good or bad person. What did you do the last time stakes were high and you had to choose between your interests and someone else's, right? Drop that question right now in the chat, people. Drop that to my smarts, motivators, warriors, final boss. Drop that question in the chat, right? Not allowed in your assessment, in your evaluation. What question do you have on people in your circle right now? Drop that in your question, right? And give yourself an answer, right? That answer would tell you more about alignment than any reference check that you can do or consider, right? Or any recommendation, right? Or any reputation survey that possibly has been done or could be done, right? And to my warriors, you already know this. You have lived this, and this is not theory. This is the field. And I'm telling you, man, listen. You know? Now, I spoke of a villain a few minutes ago, right? Good old high quality H2O. I spoke of a villain a few minutes ago, right? Now, let me talk about a villain, right? Not as a metaphor, not a hypothetical, but we're talking about every actual villain. We're talking about some, like, you see today, you see a lot of James Bond level villains, man. We're talking about level 10 villains, right? Right? You see it. You're like, wow, right? Where's James Bond? We're talking about an actual villain. Every person who's crossed you, betrayed you, undermined you, exploited you, or left you exposed when you needed them standing next to you. Here's their complete origin story, right? They needed something. They saw an opportunity to get it. You were either the vehicle to the opportunity or you were the obstacle standing between them and it. And they made a decision based on that, right? That is the whole story, beginning, middle, and end. That is every betrayal you have ever experienced reduced to its critical components. Now, every boss who threw you under the bus, every business partner who took more than they gave, right? Every friend who went behind your back and shared what was told to them in confidence. Every person who smiled in your face and talked about and moved against you when you weren't looking, right? They weren't evil. They were aligned to an opportunity that did not include you in that moment, right? It didn't include you. Now, here's the part of this episode, right, that is that's going to feel uncomfortable, right? And I need everybody in the chat to stay with me on this, right? Because this is the most important thing I'm going to say all night. And I know I made that statement earlier, right? But this is it right here, right? You have been the villain in someone else's story. You've been the villain too. I'm telling you, it's perspective, right? And I need you to sit in that. I need you to sit in that for about 5 seconds, right? I need you to sit in that for about 5 seconds, right? Don't rationalize it. Just think about it. Sit it in. Somebody you know sees you as a villain, right? Think about it. Moment of silence for about 5 seconds. Because at some point in your life, you chose an opportunity over a person. You took the promotion and left somebody hanging who helped you get there. You took the new relationship and let a friendship that had supported you for years quietly die. You took the shortcut and compromised a standard you said you believed in, right? You chose your interest when the moment called for you to choose the relationship. Does that make you a bad person? No, not at all. It makes you human. It makes you human. As a matter of fact, it makes you a human being, right? Navigating the exact same opportunity landscape that every other human being on this planet is navigating. But here is where the Final Boss community operates differently than the average person. We do not use that truth as an excuse. We use it as a mirror, right? Because you cannot build an accurate people reading framework without exempting yourself from the same framework, right? You cannot say other people are opportunistic and respond to incentives while also believing that you operate on pure virtue, right? And character, right? Incentives, and you bend to incentives, right? And pressure. Those cost calculations, all of it, right? You've done it. We all run on the same software. The question is whether you are conscious of it or not. The rebirth is about becoming conscious of it in yourself and in others, right? So my final bosses, the leaders in this room, the empire builders, you cannot lead with integrity through a season like this without taking an honest look at the moments where you were the one who ran the wrong calculation, not for guilt, but for calibration, right? You calibrate your people reading accuracy and by including yourself, right, in the data set, right? Comparison. That's what you do, right? Listen. This community does not come here just to think differently. We're all critical thinkers here, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, right? We come here to move differently. We come because the fired up train is not a meditation session. It is a departure, right? And the second half of this right here, right? Right? We building, man. We building. And you know what? Let me tell you, because we're building. Number one, the good person, bad person, binary is kindergarten stuff, man, right? It's a kindergarten management tool that you was taught, right? Number two, right? People are responsive agents, right? Operating on continuous calculation built on those inputs that I spoke of earlier, right? And number three, dangerous people in your life are the ones who don't look dangerous, right? They're the ones who are moving in the shadows, right? But while projecting something else, right? And number four, right? Some of the most significant missed opportunities was because you misjudged somebody, right? You wrote people off that shouldn't have been, right? You labeled somebody because of their first impression, right? And you never updated that characteristic, right? And number 5, you've been both the villain and hero. We all have. You run a calculation in both directions, and that is not a character flaw. That's data. You need to use it, right? Listen, man. Listen, drop some emojis, man. Drop some fire emojis if this resonates with you, right? Drop some fire emojis because, listen, man, I'm on fire tonight and I'm burning up, right? And it's something I want you guys to understand is, in those characteristics, there's an element we haven't talked about, and that's the element of trust. It's the element of trust. We haven't talked about it yet, right? Now, let me break that trust down for you, right? Trust is the actual formula for our community, right? Because most people are running a broken definition of trust that sets them up for disappointment every single time. Trust is not given because someone seems like a good person. Trust is not given because you have good chemistry with someone. Trust is not given because they have an impressive reputation or impressive credentials or impressive connections. Trust is earned, right? Trust is earned through repeated demonstrations of aligned behavior over time under varying levels of pressure. That is the formula, right? Write it down, man. Write it down, right? Trust equals demonstrated alignment multiplied by time and validated under pressure, right? That's the formula. Not vibes, not personality, not how much you enjoy being around that person. We're talking about demonstrated alignment, time pressure, 3 elements, right? And all 3 have to be present before you extend real trust in any version of whatever you're thinking, right? Right? It is trust, right? Listen, any version of trust that skips one of those 3 elements is not trust. It is a gamble dressed up in language of relationship, right? Now, here's where it gets specifically relevant to the rebirth, right? Because we're always talking about the rebirth. That's where we are, season 4, the rebirth, right? I need the community to receive this clearly. When you come out of a season where you got burned, where trust was broken, where someone you invested in ran their calculation and did not include you, there are 2 failure modes most people fall into on the other side of that experience, right? Failure mode is the first one, right? You trust nobody. You decide, F it, I ain't trusting nobody, and you pout. And this is how you look. Not trusting people, right? That's crazy, right? You go solo, right? I've done it. Trust me, I've done it. You build walls. You call it being smart and being strategic, but really it is being wounded and calling the wound a strategy, right? That's not season 4 energy, man. That's not honest. That is a fortress built out of scar tissue, and nobody builds an empire alone inside a fortress. And I hear you on the other side, and you know who I'm talking to. Words have meaning, right? Words have meaning, right? Yes, I listen to my own podcast, and I listen to my own words that come out of my own podcast, that come out of my own mouth. Listen, yes, I understand. Yes, I get it. Yes, right? And failure mode number 2, right? The new season feels clean and the rebirth energy feels good, and you want to believe that this time is different, so you trust too fast, right? You need to become more analytical. You need to become critical thinkers when it comes to this trust stuff, right? You give big access based on small evidence because the optimism of a new beginning overrides the intelligence of your earned experience, right? That was a whole mouthful, right? That is not faith. That is recklessness with the most valuable asset you are carrying into this season. The rebirth answer is neither of those. The rebirth answer is incremental trust, right? You give small access. You watch what they do. You note take whether the behavior aligns with the stated values. Then you decide whether to expand that contract of trust based on the data, not hope, not emotion. Too many people are too emotional. Listen, people are out here lacking emotional intelligence, man. I'm trying to tell you, right? They really are, right? Think about it like this. Think about it like think about it like for my investors out there, early smart investment, right? You don't write a major check to an unproven company. You put seed money into it. You watch how leadership makes decisions in the first round. You evaluate the results. Then you decide whether the next round is warranted based on demonstrated behavior. The trust is capital. It is one of your most valuable assets. And the rebirth means you finally start protecting it like the asset it actually is, right? Stop giving out trust level access or vibe level evidence. That is the whole lesson right there, right? Because, and you know what, everybody in chat right now, I want you to type rebirth rule. Type rebirth rule, right? Do that for me, right? One sentence, right? And then state after that. And actually, no, don't state. Just write rebirth rule, and then think about what's your new rule going to be during this new season, right? Season of rebirth, right? Now, I'm gonna go over, right? A couple minutes, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go over a couple minutes, right? Because it's necessary. Everything we've talked about tonight lives inside of a framework that this community already has access to, right? And I want to connect the dots explicitly right now because some of you have been sitting with this content tonight and something should be clicking, right? It should be. Go Time, which is now a best-selling book, right? If you read it, you already know, right? You already know. This is not a standalone motivation topic. It is foundational architecture, and it connects directly to the 6 pillars of success, starting with the first pillar, right? Starting with the first pillar, right? But we're going to get past that. We're going to talk about something that's also embedded in that. You know, we talk about foundation, right? Talk about foundation. Right? We talked about 5 the cornerstone of magnificence. We talk about the 6 pillars. We talk about momentum code, right? And we talked about foundation, right? Foundation addresses your core beliefs about how you see the world, or even how the world operates, right? And we're not talking about surface level. We're talking about deep structural beliefs, the one that's running in the background of every decision you make before your conscious mind even engages, right? Your foundational belief about people is that they are divided into those 2 categories. They're good or bad, right? Your foundation has a crack in it, and it runs deep, right? Every relationship structure you build on top of that crack is at risk. Not immediately, right? Not immediately. Because foundations do not fall apart immediately. They fail eventually, right? Under load, under pressure, under the weight of what you're trying to build, right? And what we're trying to do in season 4, that can't be allowed, right? There's been times you trusted the wrong person, right? Because of a good person label. Your foundation told you good people do not betray you, so you gave more access than evidence warranted, and then the crack showed. You excluded the right person in one season because of a bad person label. Your foundation told you bad people do not contribute value, so you closed the door that was actually an interest to an alliance you probably needed, right? Both outcomes trace back to the same crack in your foundational belief, right? Listen, Go Time fixes that. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you haven't finished reading it, Go Time actually fixes that. It fixes the foundation before you build anything on top of it. That's your architecture, right? And Go Time 2 is already in its editorial review, right? Go Time 2 is already in editorial review right now, and it takes this even further, right? Takes it even further with the 6 building blocks of reward, right? Because once the foundation is solid, you start building the structure, and the structure requires that you know how to evaluate, attract, and align with the right people at the right time for the right role in your mission, right? Not good people, aligned people. That distinction, that's go time 2, right? And go time 3 is certified and complete, right? Certified and complete, right? That's the full execution framework, right? And everything in the trilogy points back to the same truth we've been building toward all night, right? Your results in every area of your life are a direct function and accuracy of your foundational beliefs and the quality of your alliances, right? Fix the beliefs, build better alliances, right? Execute at the level that the rebirth demands, right? Go Time 1 is on Amazon, and I'm having a sale right now on the paperback for $9.99, man. Go pick it up, right? If you haven't grabbed your copy, the time is right now. Go pick it up, right? Not after this episode, right now. Go to Amazon right now and type in hashtag Go Time, all aboard the Fired Up train, and purchase the paperback on sale right now for $9.99, right? 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 Go do it right now, right? Type Go Time, go do it, right? And if you've done it, you're doing it, drop Go Time in the chat right now, right? Let's see who's going to get it. And if you haven't, drop that in the chat, getting it, right? I want to see what you guys are working with, right? I want to see what the community is working with, right? So we're getting ready to close. We're getting ready to close. Because right here at this point in this episode, I want to stop talking to the general audience, and I want to talk to each section of the community, as I always do, right? Directly. Because you are not a monolith, right? You come at this topic from different positions with different histories and different stakes. You deserve to be spoken to where you actually are, and that is within the community, right? And you have to understand who you are in the community. You have to know which identifier you resonate with, that resonates with you, right? To my smarts, let's start there, right? To my smarts, supper time, right? You are the analytical minds of this community, the ones who read everything, question everything, and demand that content meets an intellectual standard before you apply it. I see you, and I have built this entire framework with you in mind tonight. But here's what I want you to say specifically to you. Your greatest strength is also your greatest risk when it comes to people evaluation, because your brain is so good at building models that it sometimes builds a complete model of a person from insufficient data and then defends that model against incoming evidence that would update it, right? You fail to update, right? You label someone analytically. The label felt rigorous because your analysis was sophisticated, but sophisticated analysis built on the wrong premise is still wrong. The alignment audit gives your analytical mind the right questions to run the model, right? Use it. Run the 3 questions on every key person in your rebuild stage, right? And let the data update the model even when the update is uncomfortable, right? You got to do it. You got to audit, man. The rebirth for smarts is not rebuilding what was lost. It is rebuilding the analytical framework that evaluates the people you rebuild with, right? And to my final bosses, right? These are the empire builders, the ones with the biggest missions, the biggest visions, they have the most at stake, right? When trust breaks down, you already know who you are, right? You already know who you move with determines what you can build, right? You have learned this lesson very valiantly, right? Some of you have learned it the expensive way. Here's your season 4 charge, right? Season 4 charge, right? The biggest mistake empire builders make in a rebuild is not rebuilding too slowly. It is rebuilding with familiar faces instead of aligned faces, right? Familiar feels safe, but familiar just means you already know their pattern. Aligned means their incentives actually match your direction. Do not rebuild season 3 network with season 4 clothes, right? Rebuild season 4 network built on alignment, audit, intelligence, and incremental trust earned through demonstrated behavior. That is how legacies get built, not on who you know, right? On who is genuinely going where you're trying to go, right? And to my motivators, you're the ones who reach back and pull forward. You are responsible not just for your own elevation, but the elevation of the people in your circle who are watching how you move. And that responsibility is real, right? Here's what you need. And wait. Yeah, here's what I need you to do, right? The most important thing you can do for the people you lead in this season of season 4 of the rebirth is model what accurate people reading looks like. Not cynicism, not paranoia, accuracy, right? When you write someone off based on a label, you model that for that person, the person watching, right? And then you take that pattern into your own decision making. When you rebuild a trust that was broken without running any updated assessment, you model that too, right? And they take that into theirs, right? Right? Because they're following you, right? Be the example of the upgraded framework. Show them what clear eyes and alignment-based evaluation looks like in practice. That is more powerful than any motivational speech you would ever deliver, right? And to my warriors, right? To my warriors. You've been through things that most people in any room would never understand. You have operated under conditions where the people reading framework was not philosophy. It was survival. You have carried the intelligence into civilian life, and sometimes it translates perfectly, and sometimes the transfer is incomplete because the stakes look different, even when the patterns are the same, right? And here's how you move in season 4, right? Understand this. Understand that the stakes in your civilian mission are real, even when they are not life and death. Your legacy is real. Your business is real. Your family is real. Your financial future is real. And the field intelligence you carry, listen, the ability to read alignment under pressure and move based on demonstrated behavior instead of projected character, that intelligence is one of the most valuable assets you possess as you build in season 4, right? Don't leave it on the field. Bring it in every room every room you walk into, right? Every partnership, every hire, every alliance. Bring it. You've been trained to see what most people miss. Use it, right? The rebirth is for everyone. To my smarts, to my motivators, to my final boss, to my warriors, every single member of the community. Wherever you are watching from right now, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or any other of those platforms, you are in this room for a reason. You did not just stumble onto the show. You were called to it because the work we do here is real, and the season we are in demands real people doing real work with real frameworks. This is season 4. This is the rebirth. This is all of us together, and the fired up train is heading somewhere none of us have been before. Drop in the community right now, whether you're a smart, final boss, motivator, or warrior. Let me see who's in the room, right? Before we close out. Now, this is it. We about to close, right? We about to close, right? About to close out a season. This is episode number 203, right? Motivation Mondays, right? And before I send you out into the rest of the week, right, I want to leave you with the declaration that ties everything together. Because in this community, we do not just receive information, we declare decisions, right? We make commitments. We exit a Motivation Monday as a different version of the person who entered it, right? That is a standard. That is what the fired up train is moving toward every single week, right? And here's the declaration of episode number 203, right? And listen, as of tonight, as of right now, right? Motivation Monday. You are retiring the good person, bad person framework. You are taking that kindergarten binary that has been making your personal decisions for decades, and you are putting it in the archive where it belongs. It serves you as a 5-year-old. It does not serve you as a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, right? Think about it and let it go, right? You are installing the opportunity and alignment frameworks in its place. That means that 3 operational commitments starting tonight need to take place, right? Commitment number 1, from tonight forward, you stop making permanent character verdicts on people based on incomplete or secondhand information, right? Instead, you run the alignment audit, right? 3 questions. What do they need? Does your success align with them, or does it threaten it? Where are they going? And does that road run parallel to yours, or does it actually cross, right? And what did they actually do the last time their interest conflicted with someone else's run, right? With someone else's. Run the audit, right? Run the audit. Let the data lead, right? And commitment number 2. From tonight forward, you stop explaining betrayals as evidence of other people's fundamental badness, and you start explaining them as a misalignment between incentives as a specific moment under specific pressure, right? That reframes, removes the emotional hijacking that comes with betrayal and puts that analytical intelligence back in your hands where it belongs. You cannot make good decisions while you are emotionally activated by a story that's about someone else's character. You can make excellent decisions when you are analytically clear about what your incentives were and how to protect yourself moving forward, right? And commitment number 3, right? You go back through your write-off list, all the people you wrote off, right? Not to open doors, right? Not to open doors, right? But just to think. And to honestly audit whether each dismissal was based on direct demonstrated evidence, or was it a label, right? That was never verified. Some of those write-offs need to stay exactly where they are. Some of them might look different through a different lens of alignment. Audit them, make decisions with new lens instead of blurry old binary, right? The rebirth is perceptual before it's structural. You can rebuild the structure, but if the perception that reads people, evaluates opportunities, and makes alliance decisions is still running the old software, the new structure will eventually produce the same results as the old one, right? Like some of those phones you have, right? Some of those phones you guys have. old architecture built on a new frame, right? Fix the lens, then build the structure in that, right? Now, here's the absolute final word for tonight, and I need you to carry this out as we exit this episode, right? The opportunity does not audit your moral biography before it knocks. It does not check your record. It does not ask whether you've been good enough to deserve it. It does not care about your past season or your reputation or the label someone has put on you, right? The opportunity shows up at the door. It knocks. It waits for exactly as long as it will, and it will, right? And then it moves to the next door, right? When you do, no, let me frame that. What you do, right? What you do in that specific window is entirely on you. Not your past, not your reputation, not the label, not the season you're coming out of, not who counted you out or who wrote you off, or who ran their calculations and decided you were not worth the investment. You, right? Your calculation, your alignment, your decision, your door. That is the entire framework of this show. Episode number 203, right? 203. No such thing as a good or bad person, only the opportunity. And what you do with it when it arrives, right? Final Boss community. This is it. Go time is on, right? Go get it. Go pick it up if you haven't, right? And listen, I'll be back tomorrow with the sensei for Tech Tuesdays, right? For Tech Tuesdays tomorrow. And then again on Wednesday for merger. And then I'll see you again on Thursday for special guest Thursdays, right? This is the Final Boss Podcast, Season 4, The Rebirth, right? Season 4, The Rebirth. Thank you for joining us. That is our show for tonight. And if anything resonates with you in this show, don't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep. And if it does resonate and it does marinate in your spine, share it, man. Share it with at least 3 people, right? And remember this. There's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. I am here. We are here. This is the Final Boss Podcast. And as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Be smart. Ooh, I jacked that up. Be balanced. Be equal. Be smart. Y'all have a good one. Talk to you soon. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us on our show. And I will see you again tomorrow for Tech Tuesdays with the Sensei. Good night.